house needs painting, the grass needs mowing. Where's he at?
Hi, this is Hank. Sorry I missed your call. Leave me your name and your number and I'll get back to you.
He's gone fishing.
Hey, this episode of Hank Parker's Off the Water is brought to you by Mossy Oak Native Nurseries, by Mossy Oak Properties, by Liqua Molly. Thank you so much and God bless you.
Hello and welcome to Off the Water with Hank Parker. I'm your co-host Sarah Beth, and you are.
Hello, Sarah Beth, and I'm Hank Parker, and I'm pumped up. I'm excited. I got all my food plots in. I get to go fishing. I'm going tomorrow. Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited. You're not going to go?
No,
you're not invited.
No.
Hey, I'm going with the kids. You know, Clark's Hill Reservoir is where I won my very first national tournament in 1976. How old were you in 76?
I wasn't born yet.
Oh, you wasn't?
That's back in the medieval times for me.
Oh, well, anyway, I won my first national tournament there, and I'm going to go fishing with a young man. He's a college kid, and he's awesome fisherman. And they're telling me I got to see it with my own eyes, and that's why I'm going. I'm going to get up at 3:30 in the morning and drive over there to watch this happen. But he's fishing super deep, like 100 feet of water, and he's catching fish on top water, and he's watching them on his forward-facing sonar. Mm-hmm. You know, I tell you, I'm trying to get good with that stuff, and I'm not good with it. But these kids are they're so good, and I want to learn. So I'm excited about going.
I bet you are. I think there's not been one fishing trip I've ever heard you say that you're not excited about going on. So
I just love to fish. You know, fishing is awesome,
you don't
man.
say.
Yeah, I do. I love it. And I'm still, you know, people say, do you ever get tired of it? No, I really hadn't. I may one these days, but so far I hadn't.
Well, there you go. Well, we have a very special podcast lined up for you today with a very special guest. Would you like to say who it is?
It's Jamie Murphy, and he is a good friend of mine, and he makes Hank Parker's Southern Fusion BBQ sauce, the world's greatest barbecue sauce.
Can y'all believe his face is on a bottle?
It scares
Who
small
marketed
children.
that?
Yeah, it scares small children. Nobody under 90 eats it because it scares them to death to look at that label. You know, you have to have cataracts and be half blind.
Yeah, there you go.
That ugly guy on the label. But
Whoa.
the barbecue sauce, it's worth it. If you can just put some duct tape around it or keep it in a brown bag where you don't have to look at me, barbecue sauce is the best in the world, bar none. And I've tasted it all. I've ate a lot of barbecue. I love barbecue. And I'm 72 years old, so I've tasted a lot of barbecue sauce. And out of all the barbecue sauce in the whole wide world I've tasted, Hank Parker's Southern Fusion is the best. We're going to tell you how my name got on the label, but I want to talk about Jamie first. Let me tell you, he's a very unusual guy. And I'm going to say this before he comes on because I don't want to embarrass him in any way. I don't want to put him on the spot. But he has an autistic son. And I watch him and his wife interact with their son, and they are so awesome. What a testimony for the Lord, the way both he and his wife act around that son. They are so special. And I have a granddaughter that has an autistic son, Melanie, an autistic daughter, I should say, autistic child.
He has an autistic great-granddaughter.
That's right. She's my great-granddaughter. My granddaughter has a daughter that is autistic.
Yes, she does.
And Melanie, she is beautiful. She is precious. But it takes a special person because she can be in just the most calm, perfect, happy mood, and on a dime, I mean, quicker than the blink of an eye, she can have a complete, absolute meltdown. And you go from happy to not sad, happy to disaster in the blink of an eye. And you got to be calm, you got to be patient. And I watch Jamie and his wife, and they are so good with their son. And so is my granddaughter with Ashlyn is her name, and Melanie is her little girl, and she's wonderful. She is a great mom. But it is a challenge. And I don't know, I've been around a lot of autistic children and around their parents. I don't think that anybody is as good with their kids, or certainly not any better than what Jamie and his wife are with their son. And I admire that so much, and I respect that. So I'm going to say that before he comes on the air, so y'all know that. We'll probably not talk about that, but we've got a lot of things to talk about. He's got a ministry called Men by Design that is awesome. I've had the privilege to speak at several of his events and well attended. And it's just good. He's just an awesome guy. He's got a lot of stuff going on, and he's got a camp. We're going to talk about that camp. That's the most intriguing thing to me that he's got on is that he has going on is the camp that he puts on. That's a lot of owns.
That is a lot of owns. Well, with all that being said, I think I'm going to bow out of here and let you two guys
take the
mic.
Right there. That's spot on.
Yeah,
that's spot on. So you're going to bow out and let Jamie have your chair.
Yeah.
Aren't you precious? Let's everybody give Sarah Beth a hand. Hey, Sarah Beth. Woo!
All right. Bye.
Bye.
All right, Jamie. You can come on. Get out of here.
Get him back over there. Get over there and sit.
I will. I'll get him back over there. All right, you can come in.
All right, you can put your little.
Whenever y'all are ready, y'all can just.
All right, pull on up. Come on up. Come on up. You're good there. You're good there. You're good there.
Where's the Palaca, Florida trophy?
Huh?
Where's the Super Bass trophy?
It's behind us, I think. I'll look a minute. I don't know where it is. Might not even be up there. You never know about me. I had about 300, and I had to make room for my deer heads, so I just put them all in boxes.
Can we turn these cans down a little bit?
What you want to do?
It's real loud.
Well, I'm deaf. It's just right for me. Turn his down. I'm too loud for him. Tell me when you're happy.
Come on down a little bit more.
Happy. I can't hear nothing. So you're on me instead of him. Happy. I can't hear nothing. I can't hear. I can't hear nothing. Okay, now I'm blasting.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I don't mind blasting. I'm a deaf man.
We're good.
All righty, just as I promised, I have my buddy Jamie. How you doing, my buddy?
Good. Thank you for having me today.
Yes, sir. You're a man of many talents. You got more stuff going on. Tell us a little bit about what you got going on, and then I want to get into your camp.
Okay.
Before you got here, I talked about several things. Some of them we're not going to talk about. I told them what a mean person you were and how you were a slave driver and how you didn't treat people fair. No, I'm just teasing. I'm teasing. Everything I said about you was good, I promise, because you're going to be able to listen to the podcast. And I know your wife. What's your wife's name?
Kelly.
I know Kelly. She don't like for me to pick on you. When I picked on you before,
she gets tired of everybody picking on me, you know?
She got me back.
She did get you back.
Yeah. So I'm going to be real careful with Kelly.
You want to tell him what she did?
I'll let you tell him. Tell him what his wife, because I picked on Jamie. I'm always picking on Jamie.
So Mr. Hank likes to talk a lot of trash. And he was picking on me about his skeet shoot last year, shooting a shotgun, not being able to hit a target. And so we got him scheduled to come back in January to Forest City, North Carolina. My wife makes the flyers for all of my events, and on the flyer it said Hank Parker, world famous bass fisherman, outdoorsman, and tree climber.
Now the tree climber was a jab at me because I had fallen out of the tree. So she wanted to let everybody know not only was I a professional fisherman, but I was a professional tree climber. And that tree climber results in a helicopter ride, first getting carried out of the woods on a board and then a helicopter ride. So
you should get some commercials out of that.
Hey, I'm going to tell you what, we got more views on Facebook over falling out of that tree than anything I've ever done. So if I don't hurry up and get more supporters, I might have to jump out of another tree. Oh, them helicopter rides are expensive, though, so I don't know if I can afford it or not. So anyway, you got a lot going on, and just tell us about what all you're involved in, what you got going on.
All right, so I used to be a pastor, and I went back to college, finished up my degree. I was a pastor getting a degree in criminal justice, and that's kind of crazy. People say, what are you doing that for? Well, I had a dream and a vision.
Hold on. That's kind of crazy. What was you doing that for?
I had a dream to open up or to start a ministry that was a Christian boot camp program. And so we did back in, we just celebrated our 10-year anniversary. We started in 2015, and we started a ministry where I teach parenting classes.
Hold on. I want you to keep telling me what all you're involved in. And then I want to circle back and I want to spend some time. I want to park on this boot camp because I think this is so intriguing. So go ahead. You got a boot camp and it's 10 years old, but you also have this. Come on, tell us what you got going on.
Okay, so we started the boot camp ministry, and I teach parenting classes and do parenting workshops and seminars for churches and community organizations. So we're rolling right along, and we did our first boot camp in 2017. 2017, we did 2 camps. 2018, I think we did 3 or 4 camps. 2019, we did 10 camps.
Wow.
Then 2020 hits, and our ministry just gets totally transformed. During 2020, we start, just to stay busy and to be able to cut the grass at our camp facility, we start selling barbecue. And back in 2018, I had spoken at a pastor's conference in Boiling Springs, South Carolina, and the director of missions had fed us lunch, and he had this barbecue sauce, and it was delicious. And I said, sir, I said, could I have the recipe to this? He said, yeah, I don't care. So he sent it to me, and my wife starts making it in our kitchen. Well, my son, who worked at Plant Vogel over in south of Augusta.
No, wait a minute. How many children do you have?
We have 5.
5 kids?
Yes, sir.
I've only met 2.
Caleb and Micah, I guess, is who you've met. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got 3 sons and 2 daughters.
Okay, good.
So Caleb comes to the house one weekend and says, Mama, can I have some of this? And he gets a quart of the barbecue sauce and goes to Plant Vogel, and his coworkers are stealing it off of his lunch table and says, you tell your mom if she'll make some of this for me, I'll buy it. So I called that director of missions up and I said, hey, brother, this sauce is a hit, man. Have you ever thought about selling it, making it and selling it? He said, no. He said, it's too time consuming. I'm really not interested. And I said, do you care if we sell it? And he said, go for it. I said, no, brother, I'm being serious. Do you care if we sell this barbecue sauce? And he said, no, go right ahead. So my wife tweaked his recipe, so it's still our recipe, but I wanted to be honorable in the deal.
Upfront. Yeah, tell it like it is.
So
the Bible says the truth will set you free.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So 2020, we start selling barbecue sauce, and I got a friend down in Florida that sells it and had it in some grocery stores. And I said, how can we get involved with that? And so we had to go through the process so we can get it commercially made. And so now we're in grocery stores and butcher shops and things like that with it. So also during COVID, we started the Men by Design ministry.
Okay, now we're moving on, because I'm going to circle back to the 2 places. I want to circle back to boot camp, then I want to circle back to the sauce, but I want to find out what all you got going on. So now we know you got boot camp going on, you're manufacturing barbecue sauce, and now you're going into Men by Design. And
so the number one thorn in my flesh for our boot camp program is the lack of a godly father in the home.
We're going to talk about that.
We started Men by Design in 2020, and we're now doing men's events, and I lead 4 different Baptist associations men's ministries, 2 in South Carolina, 2 in North Carolina. We've got opportunities down the road where we're probably going to be taking on some more associations. We get invited into churches to do men's events and things like that. You've spoken at a handful of them, and I was in and out right there.
That's okay. Don't worry about that. We'll fix that in post. We call that post. That's their best job.
So we got the men's ministry going, and that's where we reconnected with you, was through a men's event. We also, you saw my big cooker. We call him Ironhide. It's 20 foot long. I cooked 90 butts Monday for a fundraiser for some visually impaired folks. But we use that to promote our ministry.
You're talking about Boston butts?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, 90 of them.
Yes, sir.
At one time?
Yes, sir.
That is a pretty good little job, isn't it?
Yes, sir. It is.
Go ahead.
That particular cook, because the meat had a little bit of ice on it, that cook took 11 hours.
Woo-ha.
So we use barbecue to promote our ministry, and I'll come and I'll cook for any church event or whatever for the opportunity to get to share about our boot camp ministry, our parenting program, and our men's ministry. So right now, the men's ministry is what's really exploding with growth, and we're doing men's events almost on a weekly basis right
So
now.
you cater different events, and the primary reason you cater these events is the opportunity to promote the boot camp and the Men by Design.
Yes, sir.
Well, I know you cater.
And then all of that led to us opening up a restaurant a year ago. Okay, so most people open up the restaurant first and then sell their sauce.
Yeah.
We were selling sauce. We're full time in the ministry, and that led us to opening up a restaurant last year.
So now,
And I heard that the food's pretty good at our restaurant.
food is awesome. I ate there, and I was amazed that all the side orders were incredible. The coleslaw, I'm a coleslaw connoisseur. I love coleslaw. And the coleslaw was as good as any I've ever eaten in my life. I mean, if you got good coleslaw, to me, you got a great restaurant. But everything was good, and I'm thankful that I didn't taste the coleslaw until after I'd already eaten about tasted 3 or 4 different side orders. So it's incredible. So we got you covered now. We got a boot camp. We've got a program called Men by Design, and you go around all over the Carolinas, both north and south. And now we've got the Barbecue Barn restaurant right outside of Bowling Springs. Where is that?
Chesney.
Cowpens?
Chesney.
It's not far from Cowpens State Park, just a
We're
few miles.
half mile north of the Cowpens battlefield.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. All right, and then you've got an autistic son you're raising,
Yes, sir.
and that is so awesome. And
So me and my wife have to tag team who watches Micah, because he won't sit at the restaurant without having a meltdown. And and then a couple months ago we started Women by Design, because everywhere we went with Men by Design, the women of the churches we would go to would complain, how come we don't get to have these meetings? How come we can't have a women's meeting and eat the food y'all eat at the men's meetings? Because they're tired of salads, they're tired of pasta, and they're tired of grilled chicken.
why didn't you say, shut up, woman, sit down, I'm a man. It's a man's world.
So now Kelly's leading the women's ministry, and I cook for them. And we're doing low country boils, fish fries, chicken and ribs and stuff like that for the women now. So that's another thing we've just added to our plate.
You know, I love to come to those events because when you're a speaker, you get to eat first.
Yeah. The dry chicken that you like so much.
Oh, that dry chicken, man. But Southern Fusion will fix that.
That's right.
We got a absolute solution to dry chicken. All right, so now we're going to circle back. First of all, my involvement with Southern Fusion, this is how it came about. It was just like you said, when you went to the men's event and at the church, you ate the barbecue sauce that the guy had the recipe, which you have tweaked. Now, was that both the red sauce, the original, and the mustard base, or no?
No, sir. He gave us the red sauce.
Okay.
And then a couple months after we already had that, we were making that commercially, and my wife had to, she was trying to come up with a sauce for doing appetizers for some event she was cooking for. And she said, I need a mustard sauce. And she couldn't get it quite like she wanted. I said, all you got to do is cut the ketchup in half and add mustard. That's all you got to do.
Don't tell you trade secret because
they
the mustard
don't
sauce is my favorite.
So we cut the mustard.
But they don't know what half would be.
Right. We added mustard to the red.
I got you.
And that is what we call Southern Fusion Gold. And in South Carolina, there's this one gentleman, I'm not going to say his name. He is the king of mustard barbecue. And I regularly have people tell me that ours is better than his. And I just sit back and smile.
Yeah. Well, I was at an event, and it was a wild game dinner, and the chicken was dry. Now, I don't know if you cooked that chicken or not. I don't know who cooked that chicken, but the chicken was pretty dry.
I think I did cook for that event.
It was pretty dry.
Yeah.
Woo, it was pretty dry, and they had barbecue sauce in a bowl. They had the red and the gold, and man, it was the best barbecue sauce I ever ate in my life. I mean, I couldn't get over it. It was not like it was as good as any I'd ever eaten. It was a quantum leap above anything that I'd ever eaten. It was just dominant. It was the best I ever ate in my life. And I said, good gracious, what is this barbecue sauce? They said, I think it's called Southern Fusion or something, but the guy that makes it is up there at that table. I said, which one? He said, the man in the visor. I said, okay, all right, I'm going to go see the man in the visor. So I ended up buying a case. No, you didn't let me buy it, I don't think.
I gave it to you.
I think you gave it to me. So I ended up with a case of gold and a case of original. And it wasn't long after that, I went to an event and they had some barbecue, and I broke this sauce out. And I intended to bring one bottle of each. And I looked over there, and there were about 14 or 15 guys eating, and maybe 4 or 5 ladies. And both bottles are empty. So I went and got 2 more. And so the guy that was hosting this event saw me go to my truck and get these barbecue sauce. He said, you're not leaving here with that barbecue sauce. I'm just telling you that. That's the best stuff we ever ate. Everybody wants a bottle. So I left with no barbecue sauce, 0. And I had a case of each that you had given me. So I go, I run you down, and I buy 2 cases. No, I buy 4 cases. I buy 2 cases of gold and 2 cases of original. Well, to make a long story short, I travel and I go and I break this barbecue, and I'm empty again. So I go back and buy again. And the 3rd trip that I made to buy, you said, what are you doing with all this barbecue
All right,
sauce?
hold on. Let's back up. Let's back up.
Back up.
So we gave you those 2 cases originally.
Yeah.
All right. And I told you when you left, I said, pray about, we want to put your name and your face on the bottle of our sauce.
Yeah, and I thought you were joking.
Okay.
Yeah, I totally thought that was a joke.
About 2 months later, I emailed Miss Martha, and we booked you for First Baptist Bowling Springs, the chili cook-off night.
Yeah.
And after we booked that, you called Brother Hank down at the church.
Hank Williams.
And you told him, I think I'm going to go into business with this guy. So Hank calls Brother David, his men's ministry director.
Yep.
David calls me and says, Hank's going to go into business with you. Okay? Now, that's October. So I'm on pins and needles. I wait till November. I don't get a phone call. I wait till December. I don't get a phone call. January, February, March. Then you showed up in April at the chili cook-off. I met you in the parking lot and gave you a case of gold as a thank you, okay? You don't say a word about the sauce to me, okay? And I'm thinking, what is going on? This man's got me strung out for 6 months now. And then it was about a month later, you needed the sauce for your friends up in Gastonia. And I'm down here and said, what do you need? And you said you were going to ship to them. And I said, it's easier for me to drive it to them. And then you said, or I said, what are you doing with all this sauce? And that's when I said, why don't you let us put your name and face on there? And then we got the deal going.
Yep, I remember. You remind me of my wife. You're so impatient. You know, Martha told me the other day to fix her faucet. And she said, I've already told you one time. I said, I know you didn't. You don't need to keep reminding me. You just told me that last year. I'm going to get to it. So I don't know why everybody's so impatient, you know. It just takes a little time.
You remember when Timmy come and felt you on the forehead?
Yeah.
You're not getting younger, brother, all right?
Well, you just don't need to be in such a big hurry. You know, we got it done in 6 months' time. It's good. But it's awesome barbecue sauce. I'm going to tell you a couple of things about it. One, it's super thin. It does not mask. If you take most of the barbecue sauce on the market today and you pour it on there, it's real thick. It masks the flavor. It hides it. It enhances it because the sauce may taste good, but you don't taste the flavor of the meat. And Jamie's sauce, Southern Fusion, is really careful.
Our sauce.
Yeah, our sauce. I like
Our
that.
sauce.
It's actually mine. It's Hank Parker's.
That's right. It's Hank Parker's.
Yeah. Let me take ownership of this, please, sir.
Okay.
It took me 6 months to get the deal done.
That's right.
Okay. All right. So it's you can cook with it. It's thin enough. You can cook with it, and it doesn't mask. It enhances the flavor. And it's just so unusual. And I grew up in North Carolina where everything's vinegar-based. Martha, my wife, she grew up in Florida where everything is
Tomato-based.
Tomato-based. And so this is the absolute perfect blend. It is just award-winning. So look for Hank Parker Southern Fusion. Tell them how they can get it.
SouthernFusionBBQ.com. They can order there, and we'll ship to them, or they can look at the stores we list where we're located in retail outlets.
On your website.
On our website.
On our website.
And
BBQ,
Southern Fusion BBQ.com.
Yeah, I like that. BBQ. I like that. Okay. All right. Now we're going to talk about what I really want to talk about is this boot camp, this whole idea, and explain to us a little bit about what boot camp is and how you go about it. So that's intriguing to me. And your facility is beautiful, by the way. I went up and took a tour, and it's really a cool place. So tell us a little bit about the facility and tell us about how all this works.
All right. So I got involved in parenting ministry back in 2003 down in Florida. And my mentor that I worked with, he had a similar camp down there. And so when I came to South Carolina, I always wanted a place up here. And so I went back to college, got my degree in criminal justice. And when I was going through school, one of my professors said, Jamie, you do know that these boot camp programs, the statistics say that they don't work. And I said, that's because you're doing them wrong. And he said, what do you mean? I said, because God ordained the mom and the dad to be the ones that raise their kids, not outsiders. It's not the school's responsibility to raise your kids. It's not mentors' responsibilities to raise your kids. It's mom and dad's responsibility to raise kids. So when a kid is defiant, disrespectful, disobedient, primarily teenagers, we say bring them to camp for the weekend because we're going to give them a weekend of doing without all their privileges. But mom and dad don't get to stay home. Mom and dad have to come to camp with the child through our program.
So they're being trained as well.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
So we come in on Friday night, and we have counselors that talk to the kids, and we start them off on how their bad attitude is leading them down this wrong path. And we have 6 key concepts that we try to teach a kid during the weekend, and that's that they should have, if they want to be successful in life, they need to have a respect for God, a respect for authority, respect for other people, and some self-respect. Work hard and get educated in whatever field that they want to go into in life. If you do those 6 things, I pretty much guarantee you to be successful. So we teach the kids these concepts over the weekend. You come in on Friday night, we get started, then it's time to go to bed, and the kids sleep on a concrete floor in a sleeping bag. No pillow. We teach them that having a bed is a privilege. Having a nice air-conditioned or heated home is a privilege.
Provided for you.
By your parents, that you treat like crap. And we get them up on Saturday morning. It's time for breakfast. Breakfast for the kids is a bowl of grits. No salt, no pepper, no butter, no sugar, no milk, nothing to make it taste good, just a bowl of grits. We do some counseling time
You're
at
mean.
breakfast. Yes, I've been told I'm barbaric.
Yeah, you're
okay?
mean.
But these are the kids that are putting their fists in mom and daddy's face and saying, you don't tell me what to do. Oh, by the way, I still want my car. I still want my cell phone. I'm going to do whatever I want to do, and you're going to pay for my lifestyle. And I tell the parents, let's show them what their lifestyle should be like. So when we're done at breakfast, my crew takes the kids and they go to work. Manual labor is, outside of the Holy Spirit of God, manual labor is the greatest attitude adjuster we have ever seen, okay? And you spend all day picking up sticks, clearing brush, shoveling dirt, whatever we need done out at our property, that's what the kids do. And especially having a barbecue restaurant 3 miles from the camp, there's a lot of firewood that needs to be stacked and things like that, okay?
So you benefit somewhat.
I do. If my truck needs washing, my truck will get washed too. So while the kids are working, the parents are taking our parenting program. And what we teach the parents is that your kid needs love and affection. They need to know that you really do love them. Your kids need protection from the world. The world is not your friend. And there are evil influences in this world that you need to protect your kids from. But especially, kids as young as 2 and 3 years old are walking around with these cell phones.
Oh, yeah.
And they're just being influenced by negative influences.
Yeah.
We teach the parents there's a proper way to discipline a child. And I believe in spanking. I believe the Bible teaches proper discipline, proper spanking. But when a kid's 13, 14, 15 years old, beating them with a belt ain't the answer.
Too late. It's too late.
There's got to be something different to address them.
I'll pause you on that just for a second. I had a friend of mine whose kids were just turning the room upside down. And they were wild as they could be. And I don't know, we went on and for about an hour or so. So we go outside and we start talking about parenting. And my friend's wife said, "Oh, yeah, we don't spank our children." I said, "Yeah, I know. We all know." I mean, there's no doubt you don't spank your children. They're out of control.
We see, and those are the kids that we get typically.
As a dad, I watch my boys, especially my boys. A girl is is somewhat different. I never really understood exactly how to handle a girl. I wasn't too good at that. But my boys, I have 4 boys and 1 daughter, and I was miserable with my daughter. I didn't know how to discipline. I tried to treat her like a boy, and that didn't work, and so it was all my bad. So I needed a parenting class is what I needed. But my boys, I could see when they were starved for a spanking. They were starved for some discipline and some structure, and a spanking, that attitude adjustment tuned them up. And it wasn't long that they would be happy, content, and smiling. And I watched that work. Now, other people may persuade you that that's not true, but you'll never convince me of that. I was engaged in it. I watched it happen. A lot of these old widows that have never been married, or not a widow, but a widow, a lot of these old maids, I said widow. Let me go back. A lot of these old maids will write books on parenting. Mm-hmm. Until you're engaged in parenting, you don't know. You may think you know, and you may be able to look at it on paper, and it may look like a fine, structured idea, but when you're in the heat of the battle, things change, and you see. And as a parent, I saw when my kids needed the rod of discipline, and it changed their attitude, and they were far more content on the backside than they were on the front side. So you'll never convince me that spanking is a bad idea. It has to be done right, and they have to know you love them. That is the main thing,
So the love and affection is the foundation of our program. So we teach the parents, you got to show love and affection, proper discipline. You've got to protect them from negative influences, but then you've got to pour into your kids. Hopefully, it's principles, morals, values, ethics learned from the scriptures. That's what we hope. And it's more powerful if a parent teaches these kids than an outsider.
No doubt.
So we're teaching the parents all day on Saturday. We've got the kids being disciplined. And we tell the kids on Friday night, if you keep your mouth shut, if you do what you're told to do, and you don't give us any trouble, you're going home Saturday night. Now, if you're going to rebel, we will stay another night. And there's just something, I can't handle this, but I refuse to lose the battle of wills with a kid, okay? And so I'll tell the parent, I'll stay until this kid breaks. And I'll stay Sunday night. Monday, if the parents can stay, I'll stay. But generally speaking, since we started this change in philosophy of we'll let them go home on Saturday night, we've only had 1 kid go to Sunday. Now, I close out every camp with the same message. I preach from Jesus and the 10 lepers, where he healed 10 of leprosy, and only 1 came back to say thank you. And I have a big whiteboard on the wall of the camp, and I'll put the kids' names up there, and I'll say, tell me 5 things you missed this weekend. And they listed out, I missed my bed, I missed my pillow, I missed a shower, I missed my pets, I missed my video games, I missed my siblings, whatever they missed. And I'll say, who provides this for you? Well, my mom, my dad, my grandma, because 50% of the grandparents in America are raising their grandkids.
Yeah.
And I'll say, so your mom gives you this video game. And I said, so this is your mom that you treat like crap? Yes, sir. Okay, what else did you miss? I missed good food. I said, who makes you good food? My mom. Your mom that you treat like crap. And so I make all the kids go through that process. And then I'll ask them, I'll say, In this story, Jesus healed 10 men of leprosy, and only one came back to say thank you. I said, if you were Jesus, what would you do to those 9? And it's every camp. They tell me the same thing. I'd give them leprosy again, but this time it'll be worse than what they had before. Or I'd kill them. I'd just wipe them out. He's Jesus. He can, you know? And I said, so what should your parents do to you? Because you're ungrateful. You're selfish.
You don't thank them.
You don't appreciate what they've done for you. And they get the deer in the headlights look. And I'll say, because where's their parents? They're sitting right behind them in the classroom. And I'll say, is there someone here that you need to get up out of your seat and go apologize to? And the kids will get up and go apologize to mom or dad. And that's where the breakthrough takes place.
So when you've been doing this for as long as you have, do parents come back to you 2 years down the road, or kids come back to you 2 years down the road and say, thank you for that attitude adjustment, my life changed?
We have a 15-year-old that just came to work for us 3 weeks ago. On the day of our anniversary, our 10-year anniversary, this young man, who was, when he was 12, was the North Carolina State archery champion. But he came to camp because he needed an attitude adjustment at 12 years old. And he now works for me. Now, you think about that.
Oh, yeah.
I tortured that kid for a weekend.
Yeah.
Okay? But he wants to work for me at my restaurant.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah. Because according to the world, if you spank your kids, they're going to hate you.
Oh, no.
Not if you do it right.
No, you got to love them. That is the whole thing. And they got to know you love them. But I'm going to tell you, one reason people don't discipline their children is because they're not disciplined. They're not faithful to their wife, or they're not faithful to their husband. They're not building an altar in their home. They're not serious about living their life correctly. So they're bound with guilt, and they don't feel free to spank their children. Now, there are some people. I've got a great friend who is a wonderful Christian lady, and she don't believe in spankings. And I disagree, but she does a fine job, and she's structured. She keeps them in check from different points of views and angles. So I'm not saying that everybody that don't discipline their children don't have self-discipline. I'm not saying that, but a majority of the folks that don't, they don't do right themselves, so they feel guilty trying to do right with their children. And for a home that doesn't have a dad, there's so many single moms, so many dads just walk away. They don't love their kids enough to be able to spank them. They're not structured, and it's a big problem. It's a big problem. America is in bad shape today because of single parents.
We had a mom from up in North Carolina. She brought her adopted son to us, and he came to camp. See, the first time that you come to camp, the parents have to come with you.
I like that.
But we teach the parents that if your kid, we teach them a plan. We give them an action plan to put together. And if your kid gets 3 strikes within a 7-day window, we say bring them back to camp. Your repeat trip to camp is free, and the parents don't have to come. You can just drop your kid off. Well, this particular young man, he came to camp 7 times, I believe. Ooh. And at one of like the 4th or the 5th time, for some reason, his mom hung out that weekend. And she told me, she said, Jamie, you say things to my kid that I want to say, but I don't have the guts to say it. And that's another thing too, is I'm telling kids, I'm just being real with the kid.
Yeah.
And I'll say something to a kid or to a parent that school teachers wish they could say. And they just don't. And sometimes we need a wake-up call. We need a reality check. And I hate to tell folks this, but the world, they don't care if your kid's successful or not.
No. And it takes love to discipline. Discipline's hard, man. It is hard. And you got to love your kids. But I love my kids too much not to take care of what they need. And discipline is one of the things, moms nurture and men's structure and discipline. And it's hard when that dad is absent for mom to play both roles. She's a nurturer by nature, man. She loves on them kids, and it's her nature. And the man is there to see that there's structure. And both are needed. And when one element is missing, man, it is a mess. And it's hard. It's by design. You talk about men by design. Family is designed by God to be a mother and a father.
And you talking about that nurturing and why do we do what we do? My oldest is now 31. Caleb, you know, you've been around Caleb a lot.
Yeah, good kid, good guy.
We tell parents this in our program. Kids will lie about three things. The top three things kids lie about are sexual activity, drugs or alcohol, and homework.
And fishermen, you got to throw them in there. You
Yeah,
know, if they're a fisherman, they go. I like to say embellish. Lie is a powerful word. You know, my kids know that I'm a Christian. They also know that I'm a fisherman, so they allow me to embellish up to 50% without it actually being a lie.
Like the lie you've been telling all across the country about picking me up on the side of the road to feed me Miss Martha's banana pudding.
That's an embellishment. That's not necessarily a lie. Okay. All right. We got that straight. Embellish, that's a whole different deal. You're talking about a kid with a bad attitude. I was that kid. You know, you talked about all the traits of disrespect. And I think that one of the key elements is self-respect. I think you got to respect yourself in order to be able to respect others. And I had no self-respect. I had no respect for anybody. I mean, I was a selfish punk kid. I mean, that's who I was.
Yes, sir. I agree with you. And we teach respect for self.
Yeah.
So Caleb lied to me when he was 15.
Told a story.
And of those three things that he lied about, now he's never tasted alcohol or tobacco. He wasn't sexually active, and he lied about his homework, his schoolwork. And what's funny about my son lying about his schoolwork is he was homeschooled, okay? So guess what I was going to find out?
Ooh, you can't run a bluff with your card showing.
That's right.
Ooh.
So I told him, I said, son, I'm sorry to tell you this, but
you are busted.
Your daddy sends kids to boot camp, and if you lie to me one more time, I'm not playing about this, you're going. So 3 days later, he lied again about something stupid, okay? And I said, and it's April, and I said, you're going to camp. And I said, but your daddy's also a sissy. Your daddy's a fair weather outdoorsman, and camp was in Jacksonville, Florida, and it's already 90 degrees outside in April. And I said, we're going to wait till October, okay?
Oh, you are soft.
So for the next 6 months, that kid was an angel. Not only that, he's 15 years old, and he's my right-hand man, and he has been brainwashed from the time he was 5 years old that if anything ever happens to me and Mama, he's responsible for his autistic brother, okay? And he knows that, and he has embraced that.
That is so cool.
So in October rolls around. Now, my wife nagged me for 6 months. And I told her, I told him what I was going to do. I got to do what I said I was going to do. So come October, I took him to camp. And we got there early. And at the camp we took him to, that you sleep in an Army pup tent out in a field, and you wear an orange jumpsuit. And because we got there early, he had to sit in front of his tent in his orange jumpsuit for 2 hours. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching, and I'm thinking to myself, he's a good kid. He just lied, okay? He's learned his lesson. Let's go home. That's what I wanted to do.
But I hope you didn't.
No, I didn't. And he went through camp that weekend. He didn't have a problem with the respect for authority. He didn't have a problem with manual labor. The one thing that got his attention was doing without good food, because that boy likes to eat, okay?
So he ate grits with no salt, no pepper, no butter.
Actually, at that camp, it's all brand cereal with powdered milk.
Oh, man.
And tomato soup, and he don't like tomato soup, so he didn't eat no tomato soup.
I'd rather have the grits than no soup.
But as far as I know, he's 31 years old. He has not lied to me in 16 years, as far as I know.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
And he's now my business partner. He helps me build the barbecue sauce business, the restaurant business. He's on my board of directors for the ministry.
He's actually running the barbecue barn, if I know.
Yes, sir. I mean, it's primarily I'm his partner. It's his business, but he has been there. He has been at almost every camp, and after he went to camp, all I ever had to do was threaten his younger brothers and sisters, and say, "Do you want to go to camp?" No, sir, because they knew if I'd send Caleb,
they're going to go.
I would send them.
Yeah. My son Billy, who is I got Hank Jr. and Bill and Ben are twins, but Billy's about 5 minutes older than Ben, so Billy's my second son. Billy, when he was about 13 years old, 12 or 13 years old, man, he'd lie. It didn't matter about what, he's going to tell a lie. And so I told him one day, I said, Billy, every single time I catch you in a lie, I'm going to give you a spanking. And it was horrible. It was horrible. And I'm sure that social services would have taken him away and probably put me in jail. But I spanked him every lie I caught him in. Sometimes it's 3 a day. And that went on for the better part of a year. I mean, it was horrible what we went through, and it was terrible on me. But he got a spanking every time he got caught in a lie, which was on a regular basis. And if you ask Billy right now, Billy's 48 years old. If you ask Billy, you say, Billy, what is the most important lesson? What's the greatest gift your dad ever gave to you? He would tell you the greatest gift my dad ever gave to me was spankings for telling a lie. He'd tell you that right now. I've heard him tell his brother that. The greatest thing Dad ever did for me is spanking my hind end when I'd lie. And boy, he became extremely truthful. I don't say he's never told another lie. Like you say, as far as I know, never lied to me. But it was a very regular, obvious thing when he was 12, 13 years old. And it took that kind of discipline to get him out of that. I mean, I played with it for the better part of 6 months, and there was no improvement. And finally, I just said, Billy, here's the deal. Every time you lie, you're going to get a spanking, period. There's no negotiating. And, man, that thing went on for the better part of a year. It like to kill me. And it was a horrible thing to go through, but it was the greatest reward on the backside of it. That's what it took. So boot camp's not a bad deal.
No, sir. We don't hurt the kids. We've never had anybody turn us into the law or DSS. DSS sends people to us.
Yeah.
It's a weekend of camp. If you go camping with your family, you're going to sleep in a sleeping bag on the floor, and you might not like the food.
If I go with my family, we're going to the Holiday Inn,
Me too.
Express.
Me
That's
too.
roughing it. That's roughing it.
We had I told you about the grits. For lunch, they get a piece of bologna on wheat bread and an apple. And we had one kid one weekend, he said, my mama would never do that. I said, really? I said, turn around and ask your mama what she just had for supper. And she said, I ate ribs and chicken while you ate that bologna. And he goes, Mom. She goes, I didn't get in trouble. You did.
I like it. You're talking about rough places to stay. One of my buddies, old Hank Jones, we went to deer camp. My truck broke down, and we were in a hurry to get this thing fixed. And we were staying in a place, boy, you're talking about a rat hole. And I told Hank, I said, well, I can rent a car. He said, we don't need a car. We just need a saddle. We get on one of these rats and ride him to camp, man. They looked like dogs. The rats were so big. So I have stayed in some boot camps in my lifetime. Some of our deer camps, woo-wee, they were right. Now, I'll just tell you that. Well, let me ask you this. Okay, we move on. We'll go from boot camp to Men by Design. Tell me about how that came about. Quickly.
All right,
we're going to run out of time.
COVID started in 2020, and I'm riding down the road one day, and it's like the Lord told me, he said, you've got this camp and this facility, use it. And so in 2020, we planned our first men's retreat, and we were just going to do men's retreats. But when you use food and fellowship and bring men in to share their testimonies, guys just flock to those events. And so that's something I'm good at doing. And we just started doing that, and we try to get churches to work together to get men to come to these events. And so, like I said, we're doing these almost on a weekly basis.
Now, when you say churches, you get churches to come together. Let's just say we're going to go to Union, South Carolina. Will there be more than one church that participates in getting these men here?
All right, like in Union, I lead the men's ministry of the local association, Baptist Association.
Okay. So it's more than just one church.
And I don't know how many churches are in the association, but every 3 months, all of the churches are invited to show up. And last week, we had a men's event at Tabernacle Baptist Church here in Union, and we had 75 guys show up.
Yeah, that's good.
One of the most exciting areas we're working in, you're coming to speak in November up at Richard Childress Racing in Welcome, North Carolina. We've got 4 churches that started out in that area that meet every quarter. And there's 2 more churches that want to join in to that group.
All right, let's talk about that just a minute. Now, is that going to be at the museum?
It's going to be right down the street on the same complex.
Okay. So people that come out to that, what's the date on that?
November.
Yeah, let's get that, because people, they could come to the museum, come early that day and go to the Richard Childress Museum, and that could be a really cool event. That could be a lot of fun. You get to see a lot of things.
Thursday, November 6th, I believe is
Thursday, November 6th, at what time?
6:30.
6:30.
And so they can go to the museum.
Yeah, come
but
early.
the museum, they need to check on what time the museum closes. I don't know what time they close.
Probably
but they
go
can,
on the website.
They can go to the museum. We're going to serve chicken and ribs that night. And Hank Parker's Southern Fusion BBQ sauce.
That's going to be good time there. And I get to, am I speaking?
You're speaking.
I get to eat first.
Yeah, you get to eat first.
All right.
That group started out with 4 churches, and a couple months ago we were at an event, and they said, we got 2 more churches that want to join in. I said, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I said, so who's giving up their night next year for these new churches to come on board? They said, what do you mean? I said, y'all only meet once a quarter, and you already have 4 churches. They said, well, I'm not giving up my night. I'm not giving up my night. I said, well, the only way to solve this is y'all got to meet more often. You'll have to meet every 2 months next year. They said, we're fine with that. We'll do that.
Wow.
So up there in Lexington, Salisbury, they're planning on next year to meet every other month.
All right. The 10 million people that in the area that's listening to my podcast, that's a joke. There's 3 guys out there listening. But if all 3 of them come, will there be room for them at the night at Richard Childress Racing? How do you have to buy tickets in advance? How's that work?
When we put out the we put out the flyer. We'll put out the flyer in October, and there'll be an RSVP number on there.
All right. When you put out the flyer, where does that flyer? How you find that?
You can follow us at Men by Design on Facebook.
Men by Design on Facebook.
And that's a private group, or follow me, Jamie Murphy, on Facebook, and you'll see everything we're doing with Men by Design.
Jamie Murphy on Facebook, Men by Design, and all that information is going to tell you how to get tickets for the RSVP. It's going to give you all that information in October for the November events. Is that how that works?
Yes, sir.
All right, stay on your P's and Q's there, because you don't want to miss this. And check with Richard Childress Museum. It is awesome. It's a lot of Earnhardt stuff, a lot of big animals that Richard's harvesting. Richard, a lot of people don't know this, but Richard Childress is an incredible hunter. He's been all over the world, not just all over America. He's been all over the world. He was in a deer lease with myself for 15, 20 years. I went with Richard. I got an elk back here on the wall that is a Boone and Crockett elk. I was with Richard when I killed that elk, and Richard killed one as well. Richard has harvested some incredible animals all over Africa. He's got all kind of slams. He's got a black rhino, which is almost impossible, that he darted. And they took photographs with it. You know, they don't harvest them anymore. They are in short supply. But he's got all sorts of stuff in his museum. It's pretty awesome. And a really good buddy of mine was his cameraman for a long time, who has now passed away. But a lot of he was just a incredible camera guy. So he got a lot of that footage at Richard, and all that stuff's in the museum. So
his hunting exhibit is like a miniature version of what is at Bass Pro Shops in Springfield.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
and you can sit in a Dale Earnhardt car,
Yeah.
the black number 3.
Yeah, that's
There's
pretty special.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've actually sat in one and wrecked one. But that's a story for another day.
So world-class tree climber and car driver.
Oh yeah, I was. My kid's mom used to tell them all the time when we go to the racetrack. I raced at Concord, and she said, "Now, Daddy's gonna wreck, but he's probably not gonna get hurt." Before the race ever started, it's just the way it was. So, hey, we're out of time, Jamie. This has been awesome. I certainly appreciate you coming out and tell everybody what you got going on in the very near future and how to get all that information. It's Jamie Murphy.
So proactiveparents.org, that's our ministry website. And then Proactive Parenting Initiative on Facebook, Men by Design on Facebook, Jamie Murphy on Facebook. We promote almost everything on Facebook.
All right. Well,
Southern Fusion BBQ.com to order barbecue sauce.
Do you know, I go to all these churches, and I have to be completely honest. The Bible says truth will set you free. You know what really changed my life? Rock and roll and Facebook. When I put my name on my feet on the rock and my name on the roll and my face in his book, everything changes.
Changed
so
your life.
Facebook's a big deal.
Yes, sir.
It's been fun, my buddy. Thank you so much. Look up at that camera and tell everybody goodbye.
Goodbye.
Hey, thanks for being with me. God bless you. I'll see you next time. Awesome day. Thank you, Jamie. I'm Hank Parker.